Have you ever stumbled across an idea that just clicks? You know, names a feeling you've had but couldn't quite pin down? That's kind of how Ikigai hit me. And, well, that's exactly what we're getting into in this deep dive.
Exactly. Ikigai. It's pronounced roughly Ikigai. It's this really interesting Japanese concept. Basically, it means something like the meaning of having a life, or maybe a reason for living.
Right. That sort of core purpose that gets you going each day.
Yeah, that underlying drive.
And for you listening, because I know you like getting your head around things quickly without wading through tons of stuff, we thought this would be perfect. It's not just some trend.
No, definitely not.
We're actually going to the source material here, looking at the Little Book of Ikigai, the secret Japanese way to live a happy and long life. It's by Ken Mogi, a Japanese brain scientist.
And our goal, really, is to unpack the basic ideas of Ikigai as Mogi explains them. You know, see how this connects to finding, like, actual joy and meaning day to day based on how he interprets it.
Okay, so Mogi's insights on Ikigai, they didn't just, like, appear, did they? There was a specific inspiration.
That's right. A big inspiration for Ken Mogi was Jiro, an amazing sushi chef, 94 years old.
Wow, 94.
Yeah. And the really interesting part the book highlights is that Jiro didn't start making sushi because he loved it or because he was naturally amazing at it from day one.
Oh, so why then?
Well, his drive, his dedication came from wanting to make his customers happy. That was his focus.
That's quite a different angle, isn't it? It wasn't about this innate passion for sushi necessarily, but about the effect he had on people.
Exactly.
That feels like a really powerful example of Ikigai right there, finding your why in how you contribute, maybe.
It really is. And that leads straight into a key point Mogi makes.
Yeah.
How Ikigai isn't the same as what many cultures call success. You know, climbing the career ladder, making lots of money, getting status.
Yeah, that's the story we hear all the time, isn't it? How do you get ahead? How do you achieve more?
But this book, it offers a really refreshing perspective from Japanese culture.
Which is, well,
it emphasizes that in Japan, that kind of societal success isn't, well, it's not the be-all and end-all for everyone. Think about the examples of people who are incredibly into their hobbies. The term is kodawari.
Kodawari.
Yeah, it means this, like special meticulousness. A real dedication to something you enjoy. Could be trains, could be manga, anime, anything really.
And the key thing is these passions don't need to be approved by anyone else, right? If someone finds real joy in, I don't know, collecting stamps or figuring out complex board games, that has its own value.
Precisely. There isn't always that pressure to turn every single interest into a side hustle or something useful to society.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that just highlights how personal Ikigai is. The book really drives home that it's different for everyone. It reflects your own values, your chosen lifestyle. What gives you purpose might be totally different from me.
And it seems Japanese society actually encourages kids to find their own Ikigai. It's not just about pushing them towards the highest paying jobs.
Apparently so. The book mentions that when students are asked what they want to do, salary isn't always the top answer, which is quite a contrast to some other places, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. So this distinction Mogi makes between Ikigai and success. How does he define success then?
He frames success mostly as something society recognizes, something external, like getting awards, promotions, public acclaim.
Okay, so it's outward facing.
Right. Whereas Ikigai,
Yeah.
that's internal. It bubbles up from your own personal happiness, what genuinely clicks with you. It doesn't matter if anyone else sees it as successful or not.
So it's about accepting that what makes one person happy might seem odd to someone else, but that's okay. No judgment.
Exactly. The book really emphasizes that your Ikigai is yours. It's about your happiness, your sense of purpose.
Now, this next part really resonated with me. The idea of finding Ikigai in the small things. It's not all about finding some grand, life-defining mission, is it?
Not at all. Actually, the source really stresses that finding Ikigai often starts by noticing and appreciating the little things, the everyday stuff. Ken Mogi even shares some personal examples, like he was fascinated by butterflies as a kid.
Right. I remember reading that.
And even now, when he's jogging, he still gets joy from just seeing them. Or another one was overhearing this funny exchange between a dad and his son. Just these fleeting moments.
Those little sparks in the day.
Yeah. And that makes the whole concept feel much more manageable, don't you think? It's not this huge quest you have to embark on.
Absolutely. It's not like you have to wait for some massive life event to feel purposeful. It's about tuning in right now.
Exactly. Tuning into those small things that give you a little lift, a bit of contentment.
Okay, so if someone listening is thinking, all right, Ikigai sounds interesting, but where on earth do I start? What's the practical first step, according to Mogi?
The main thing is to just consciously try to experience those small joys. Pay attention to them.
Okay.
The book even touches on the brain science a bit, dopamine release. When we achieve even tiny things or experience small pleasures, our brain releases dopamine.
The reward chemical.
Right. And that creates this sort of positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good, so you naturally seek out more of those moments. It builds happiness.
It's like building positive momentum, one small happy moment after another. I guess the source also acknowledges that this might feel hard if you're going through a really tough time.
It does. It acknowledges that reality. But the encouragement is still there. Start small. Look for tiny glimmers even when things are difficult.
And how does this relate to, say, positive thinking? Is it the same thing?
It's related, yeah. But the book kind of suggests that focusing on Ikigai, especially these small joys, might be an easier way in for some people.
Less pressure, maybe?
Possibly. Positive thinking can sometimes feel like this huge effort, or even a bit forced, you know?
Yeah, like you have to be positive all the time.
Right. But focusing on the simple pleasure of, like, your morning coffee or the feeling of rain on your face during a run, those are concrete, real experiences.
They're tangible, immediate.
Exactly. They don't need a huge mental shift, just a moment of awareness.
Okay. So, pulling it all together, what are the main takeaways, the key lessons from Ken Mogi in the book?
Well, he boils it down to about 6 core ideas. First, Ikigai is about feeling happiness in your own life. That leads to meaning. It's not primarily about chasing success or money, as defined by others.
Got it. Internal first.
Second, it's totally personal, unique to you. Society doesn't define it. Your happiness is found in your way of living.
That really reinforces the no comparison thing we talked about.
Exactly. Third lesson, respect that others have their own diverse Ikigai, your kids, your partner. Don't try to force your ideas of happiness onto them.
That's a big one.
Fourth, when you see people really into their passions, approach them with, like, a smile. Support them if you can. Be encouraging.
Just foster that positive environment. Makes sense.
Yeah. Fifth, Ikigai works on 2 levels. There's the big picture, your life direction, your values, but there's also the micro level, those small daily joys we've been talking about.
So it's macro and micro.
Right. And finally, the 6th lesson really brings it back home. Finding Ikigai starts right now, today, by looking for those small moments of happiness.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Ken Mogi's take on Ikigai, it really doesn't sound like some hidden secret only a few can find.
Not at all. Like we've explored, it seems much more about finding meaning and joy right in the middle of your everyday life, like Jiro did, or like people do with their hobbies, their kotowari.
And hopefully for you listening, maybe you're already thinking about some of those small joys in your own day. You know, that first cup of tea, a chat with a friend, maybe just finishing a task you'd been putting off.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to chew on. How might really noticing and valuing those seemingly small moments, how might that actually build up into a deeper sense of meaning and purpose for you? Especially when you separate it from what the world might call success.
Yeah. Something to think about, that gap or maybe connection between what society values and what truly makes you feel fulfilled.